Yo, what is going on, guys? Phaser here, and welcome back to another video. And today, I am going to be doing something a little bit different. So as you can see, I am not doing well, maybe you can't tell yet, but I'm just going to say I am not doing a live commentary in the game at the moment. I am currently doing a voiceover after the fact. So I recorded the video, did gameplay, and I'm doing a voiceover. Now, the reason this is the case, and the reason I'm not doing the style of video that I normally do, is because there is a very important type of message I want to get out today, and I feel that I don't want to be distracted by Minecraft, because I know sometimes I can get off topic where something cool happens, or I might find diamonds, or I get blown up by a creeper, something like that, and that would throw me off the course of what I would like to talk about. So I didn't want to do that today, and I wanted to kind of stay on topic and really hammer home the point that I'm trying to make. And so today, the topic is going to be, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but the KOSA, or the Kids Online Safety Act of 2025. And the reason I would like to talk about this is because, and by the way, before I do get into this, let me know if you guys like the style of video where it doesn't have to be about serious topics, but maybe about simpler topics like what I normally talk about, but in the voiceover format instead of live commentary. Let me know if you guys don't care, or if you like this better, or you like the old style better. However, back to what I was saying about the Kids Online Safety Act of 2025. This is a very problematic bill. And this is not a partisan bill. This is a bipartisan bill that is supported by Republicans and Democrats and independents in the Senate. And I am very much against this act. And at first, you may, if you already know what the bill is, and hopefully you've read it, I will drop a link in the description below. A link to the actual bill itself. You can click on the PDF, and you're able to view it and read it. It's like 67 pages or something like that, as well as you're able to contact your representatives to let them know how you feel about the bill. I greatly recommend that you read the bill, and especially go to that link below where it says contact your representative and let them know how you feel about this bill. Let them know, if you agree with me, let them know that the bill is bad and you do not support it. Of course, I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm just going to give you my opinion, and hopefully you find sense in what I'm saying, or if you don't, then that's fine too. So essentially, the reason I'm against this bill is because it is a censorship bill of the internet. And I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen videos about this that other bigger creators have talked about, and therefore you're already up to date on what's happening. However, if not, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but I might, just because I feel that this is very important. However, if you do not know what the bill is and you're hearing this for the first time, then, awesome. With that being said, the Kids Online Safety Act of 2025 is a bill that is guised as protecting kids from harmful content online. So in other words, it's basically saying we don't want, in a nutshell, the way it's presented is we don't want kids accessing, whether that be adult content online, so sexually explicit videos, self-harm, cyberbullying, just overall very bad content online. We don't want people, especially kids, and by the way, in the bill, kids are defined as anyone under 13 years of age. So 13 and under, is considered a minor. And so they're saying that they do not want these kids accessing any type of illicit content online. And at face value, that sounds great. Yeah, we don't want kids on bad websites. We don't want kids looking at bad content. What's bad about that? Well, the problem is the implementation. And the implementation is very poor, and I believe that this is definitely something that needs to be addressed and needs to be talked about. Because what they plan on doing, and this has already been passed, a rendition of this bill, not the exact bill, obviously, because it's a different country, but a rendition of this bill has been passed in the UK and has taken effect in the UK, as well as Australia. And essentially, in Australia, they've banned kids 16 and under from accessing any social media sites, and that includes YouTube. So they're looking at these age verification type of softwares to determine if you're above the age of 14 or not. In the US, it would be 14. I don't know what the age is in the UK. However, this is very bad, because what this does is this makes it to where if you are trying to browse the internet. This involves Reddit, this involves YouTube, this involves Spotify, this involves Wikipedia, this involves any type of social media that you can think of, or any type of website that could be potentially, and I say this in air quotes, potentially harbor harmful content in any capacity. So YouTube isn't a harmful website in and of itself, but it does indeed have some videos that are harmful to kids to watch. And that is why this bill is so widespread and so far-reaching, is because anything that is a free platform of ideas, anything that is an open public forum to be able to upload anything that you want, mostly anything that you want at least, there's always going to be harm in that. And so when the government comes in and says, we want to regulate this, we want to make sure that there's age verification, they do that in one of three ways. That is going to be through credit card verification. So you have to enter your credit card information. That is going to be through ID verification and or biometric data. And that's like a picture, a face scan, something of that, fingerprint, something of that sort. And that is very, very bad and an invasion of privacy and defeats the purpose completely of anonymity on the internet, which is extremely important and essential. And with that being said, in the UK, if you don't believe me, in the UK, there's screenshots that people are sending from the UK already. And again, it's taken effect, just look it up, that people are having to, in order to listen, say, for example, on Spotify, to listen to certain types of music, certain types of podcasts, they have to enter their ID or they have to take a picture in order to verify their age. Same thing with YouTube, same thing with Reddit, same thing with all these other forums, even Wikipedia, which is insane. Again, Australia did the same thing when they did 16 and under banned off social media. That includes YouTube, and they are doing age verification there as well. In fact, YouTube, speaking of, in the United States, YouTube is rolling out on a small scale right now. It's not in a mass effect yet. However, there is a small scale rollout that is about to happen, if not it's already underway, where YouTube is essentially rolling out an AI software that kind of determines, and I say that very loosely, determines if you're of age or not. And again, in the US, that would be, by the standards of this bill, would be considered 14 or older. YouTube may be going by the standard of 18 due to certain types of content where it says sign in 18 or older to watch. I don't know. But what I do know is they're rolling out an AI software, according to executives at YouTube, where it's going to infer your age, and if it thinks that you're a certain age, if it thinks that you're below a certain age, rather, you have to use either your credit card information, your ID information, or your face and biometric data in order to confirm that you are indeed the age that, YouTube didn't think you were. So, for example, excuse me, I watch Pokemon content. I watch anime clips. I watch Minecraft stuff on YouTube. I watch that type of stuff. So those would be considered children's IPs because although Pokemon fan base, there's a lot of people that are older, although there's a lot of people that are older that can watch Minecraft and all that type of stuff, it is very, very child-based, So with that being said, if YouTube sees me watching that type of stuff and it's tracking who I'm watching and all of a sudden says, well, because this person watches Pokemon and Minecraft and anime, that means that we determine them to be a certain age range, and so they're going to then put a block on my account until I give them either my credit card information, my ID information, or my biometric data, again, picture of my face, and a scan. And they're going to say, we're not going to let you access the rest of your content until you provide this if our AI thinks that you are going to be below a certain age, which is absurd, people. This is absolutely absurd, because what is it looking for other than that? Because it says and other factors. So I think Moist Critical made a very good point where he said, if you have a typo, is it going to do something where it thinks that you're younger because you misspelled something? Is it going to think that a certain genre of things that you watch, like, maybe it's not even necessarily kids only, but like WWE, if you were to watch that, if you were to watch anything, what about autoplay? So for example, let's say you're watching like how to repair a carburetor on a car, and it automatically, you leave the room and automatically it autoplays onto, Bugs Bunny or something like that. Is it going to think that you're a kid? Is it going to think that there's some type of, is it going to think there's some type of restriction it needs to put on your account? Nobody knows. And it's a big question mark, and nobody really knows the answers, and that is not good. This is definitely something that's bad. It's an infringement upon privacy and upon your rights. And this is a very big thing that needs to be addressed because it doesn't end there. You see, this KOSA bill, the Kids Online Safety Act, doesn't just apply to YouTube. YouTube is doing this outside of the bill. They're doing this to kind of get ahead of the curve in a sense. And this is going to apply, just like the UK, it's going to apply to Wikipedia. It's going to apply to Reddit, 4chan. It's going to apply to all these things, and people will be forced to either comply and give their information, which they don't need to or shouldn't. And on top of that, they're going to have to, if they want to circumvent that, they're going to have to get a VPN service and go to a country that does not require this at the moment. And so with that being said, anonymity on the internet is a very big thing. This bill, although, and I love this saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. There may be good intentions behind this bill, but I tend to think that a lot of people co-sponsoring this, I tend to think there's not good intentions behind it. There could be good intentions with some people. There absolutely could. I'm not saying this is 100%. Everyone that's supporting it is malicious. Everyone that's supporting it has an ulterior motive. But I do think there's certainly some aspect of that. And again, that's another reason why I do not support this bill. I am not somebody, I do not have a track record. Again, this is not me taking a certain type of stance on anything. This is just me saying that I have a track record of not trusting people in the government that want to infringe on my rights or want to put more restrictions or surveil me more. I don't trust them. And with that being the case, I do not support this bill because that is exactly what this bill does. And I just want to point this out in case there's anybody saying, well, what do you suggest then? Because kids are being harmed by certain content on the internet. There is certain content that's harmful that kids don't need to be seeing. And I agree. You see, I agree with Australia in the sense of, 16 and under. I don't know if I'd necessarily go with 16. Maybe I'd go higher. Maybe I'd go lower. But the point being is, I don't think kids should be on social media until a certain age because I believe there's so much degeneracy, so much bad out there that, there does need to be some restriction on that. However, I don't think it needs to be legislated. You cannot legislate culture. You can't legislate morality. You cannot legislate parenting. The problem is with this generation of parents, unfortunately, they do not know how to raise kids. And to put it bluntly, they are raising their kids on, I call them iPad kids. I mean, I didn't come up with that term, but yes, they're called iPad kids, where these parents just say, all right, get on your tablet and to shut the kid up, essentially. And they just go ahead, and what they do is they want to let the internet raise their kid, and they don't monitor what their kids are watching. Their kids get into some bad stuff, and that ends up being something that is a spiraling effect. And there's no amount of legislation out there that can be produced because people will always find a way around it. It does not matter what you try to ban. Historically, anytime there's been legislation to ban something, people have found ways around it, whether through legal or illegal means. And so being that the case, I do not think it's a good idea to say, well, parents aren't doing their jobs, so the government needs to do it for them. That is a horrible idea. Historically, that has been horrible. And so, again, I just want to put it out there that I do not support this. I don't think that it's a good idea. There needs to be some type of accountability in the household, not the government stepping in and saying they know what's best, but parents stepping in and monitoring what their children are actually watching. This does not need to be, government comes in to save the day and infringes on the rights of everybody else because of a minority. So with that being said, I think that there is a very, very big onus we need to put on the parents, on the household, to monitor what their kids are watching, because that is ultimately going to be the most effective thing in raising them the right way, telling them that certain websites are not okay, telling them that certain things that they see are not okay. And so again, with that being said, that's kind of all I have to say at this point. I know there's still a little bit to go in the video, so I will put some non-copyright music in there so there's not just complete silence. But again, I did want to say that, I did a voiceover because I feel this is very important. Again, I will link the bill in the description below so you can go and you can look at it, read the PDF if you want. If you want to control F and go to section 107, that is where the age verification and the enforcement section of the article is, or of the bill is. And then also, if you want to contact your representative, I very much encourage you to educate yourself on the bill and look up some videos about the bill on YouTube from maybe your favorite creators and make your own determinations. And from there, contact your representatives and let them know how you feel about it, because this is very important. It's very also important to note that this has not passed. This has not been voted on. It has just been introduced. So with that being said, I would like to let you know that there is still time. There is still hope that this does not pass. In fact, there was a version of this that tried to pass in 2024, but it did not make the final cut, so therefore it didn't go through. And so I would very much like you guys to hopefully fight for anonymity on the internet, fight for the rights of people to freely enjoy content online, and to fight back against this. I would just basically call it crackdown on freedoms is what it is. And any attack on the internet is attack on freedom. And so with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, let me know in the comments if you enjoy this style of video and enjoy some no copyright music. Peace out, guys.